right, got a little bit of some good news for all the Star Wars fans out there. Um, it's been announced that the Acolyte will not be receiving a second season because it has been canceled. um, I'm sure a lot of us, including myself, figured that it would get multiple seasons, regardless of what the community said or all these reviews that have been out there on YouTube and such, poorly reviewing it and in the poor rating on Rotten Tomatoes and all that. But Disney, they don't care. They just want to push an agenda nowadays. So I thought for sure this show would end up with at least a minimum of 3 seasons. And like I said, I'm sure a lot of people figured that there would be a lot more seasons, at least a second season. But yeah, apparently not. The backlash actually got to them, and they pulled the plug. The funny part is, from what I understand, this is the first Disney Star Wars show that Disney has actually canceled. Like, yes, there hasn't been a second season, nor is there talk of a second season for Book of Boba or Obi-Wan, but at the same time, it hasn't been outright canceled. It's still kind of just up in the air. Chances are, I would think that there isn't going to be a second season for either of them because they kind of were like a self-inclusive story. Like, Obi-Wan feels like it was just a story. It was like a long movie. It's just its own self-contained story. So I don't really see the point in making a second season, but still, technically, Disney never said that they're not going to. And obviously, Mandalorian is on season 3. They're working on a movie. I don't know if they're coming out with season 4, but still, they're working on a movie. Andor has season 2 coming out soon-ish. I guess they're currently working on Ahsoka season 2, which I'm kind of surprised about because season 1 sucked. But I guess it just wasn't as bad as Acolyte. Acolyte had a whole bunch of nonsense that made people hate it. Terrible writing. Episode 3 was absolute garbage. It comes out of left field. It's not Star Wars-y at all. It was just ridiculous. Just to, put some woke nonsense in there of the lesbian witches and all this, which undermined the importance of Anakin, basically, because, they can create life, and they made twins, so they can do better than the Force did when it made Anakin. Or the other lore breaking of how old Ki-Adi-Mundi is, or even the weirdness of sneaking Plagueis in there. Plagueis would have been like a young adult at that time, which was just weird. If you read the book, he never visited some lesbian witch planet. So, but, yeah. So I guess that's why Ahsoka gets a season 2, because it didn't really pull any of that nonsense. But, yeah. So I saw that article this morning, and I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. Good to know. It is kind of disappointing that Acolyte sucked, because if Disney would stop with their nonsense and stop trying to push an agenda, the Acolyte could have been cool. I mean, that took place, what was it, 100 years before Anakin was even born? So that's cool. It's all the characters, or a lot of characters that we know, maybe not a lot, I don't know. Some characters that we know were a little bit younger than, like Yoda. We know him when he's in his later 800s. So in the time of Acolyte, he would have been in his 700s. And, this also could be a time before a lot of the Jedi that we actually know are even born yet. So this is a whole separate breed of Jedi. And, it just would have been before the times that we're very familiar with. And it would have been cool. But instead, Disney had to completely screw it up. It's just like all these other projects that they talk about. Would it be cool if you had like a Old Republic movie or TV series? And it's like, yeah, it would be. It would be cool to see Darth Revan or Jedi Knight Revan or both, and see Bastilla and see Darth Malak and Malgus and all them. But it's like at the same time, we know Disney's gonna screw it up, so nah, I'm good. I don't want to see that. I'd rather just have the books and the video games and just kind of make it up in my head how it would be, because Disney's not gonna do it any justice. So yeah. Anyways, let's just get into that article. So you can see what I saw and it can be proved. All right, so this was some article off of Inverse. I don't even really know what Inverse is. It was just part of was part of like Apple News, and I don't even use Apple News, but my phone was being annoying, and it ended up on that. And then after, I'm like, come on, trying to figure out how to get off of it, and then I saw this, and I was like, well, I guess while I'm here, let's just take a look. So, huge title: The Acolyte is officially canceled. The Acolyte was a bold new vision for Star Wars. Now it's gone. And it is dated August 20, 2024. So this is a brand new article because, well, as of the time of recording, that's today. The Acolyte was supposed to shake up Star Wars. Well, in a way it did, just not in the right way. You know, it did negatively. A lot of negative feedback about this piece of crap show. The series had a female showrunner in Leslie Headland, who was very much all about her lesbian identity and pushing that, even calling R2-D2 a lesbian, which makes no sense because R2-D2 is just a astromech droid. It's genderless, it's not gay or lesbian or straight, it's just a little robot. It's like a trash can-bodied robot. But anyways, and a black lead in Amalda Stenberg, who apparently also is a lesbian, so, you know, there we go. Identity politics, right, Disney? In a bold new setting, the last days of the High Republic, 100 years before Anakin Skywalker was born. Could have been super sick, but they completely screwed it up. The series also questioned our understanding of the Force, the Jedi, and the very foundations of Star Wars itself. There was no need to question that. That is all stupid. George had completely explained those thoroughly in his original trilogy and prequel trilogy. So we have a strong understanding. There's nothing to question about it. That's stupid. The people questioning it are the ones that just want to break lore and try to inject their own personal thoughts and feelings into the storylines, which is dumb. It's established. Just stick with it and build off of it. But anyways, it was a bold new vision for the franchise, and it sucked. And yeah, The Acolyte also ended on a bold cliffhanger, setting its main character on a path towards the dark side. While Apple News. It says it ended on a bold cliffhanger. It wasn't a cliffhanger. They just kind of went off and did their own thing. The implication now is that things switched. So now May is with the Jedi because her mind was wiped or something. I don't remember at this time now. I saw that piece of crap show months ago now. And, what was this? Osha is now, training to be a Sith, which is pretty stupid. Really makes no sense either, because all along Osha's always been the good one. Always, even when they were a kid in episode 3. May's over there tormenting those creatures and Osha doesn't like it. She's like, hey, stop it. Osha's always been the good one. Why would she go and join the dark side now out of nowhere? It makes absolutely no sense. It's so stupid, but it's not a cliffhanger. But anyways, on a path towards the dark side, while finally bringing one legendary Sith character into Star Wars live action. So it may come as a disappointment, if perhaps not a total surprise, to learn that The Acolyte is cancelled. I can't say it's either. It wouldn't be disappointing. As a Star Wars fan myself and somebody who saw The Acolyte, I am not disappointed at all. I'm happy that this is happening instead of them trying to milk it and make a second season, much like Velma did. Velma got terrible reviews too, and yet they went and made a second season like a bunch of idiots. So, and not a surprise? Well, it is a surprise, but it's not a surprise in the way that they think. They're writing these articles thinking like, oh my god, I can't believe The Acolyte got canceled. Where the actual surprise is, oh my god, I can't believe they actually canceled it. Deadline, not sure what that is. It makes me think of Dateline, NBC, Chris Hansen, decap. But anyways, reports that The Acolyte will not be getting a second season. The report notes that although the show boasted strong streaming numbers in the first week, first week only, because then it fell off quickly, it has struggled to keep that momentum. The series also drew backlash from certain corners of the fan base, which may explain both that low viewership and this ultimate decision. What exactly do they mean, certain corners? What is that supposed to mean? I mean, the corners of the community are like everybody. Every real Star Wars fan hated it. So, what are you talking about, certain corners? I think you just mean the passive libs that are, I kind of like Star Wars. They're the ones that like this, not people who are actually into it and know every single thing about Star Wars. A little picture of Master Soul with the younglings. While Lucasfilm hasn't said why the show was canceled, gee, I wonder why. Maybe because it sucked and nobody liked it? And likely never will. One possible reason seems obvious. The fan backlash. The Acolyte received generally favorable reviews. It has a 78% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Of course it does, because critics are stupid. They're easily bought, and a lot of them are just lib, so of course they love this. But the reaction of the fan base was polarizing. 18% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm surprised it's at 18. Last I knew, from, I think it was Star Wars Theories videos, he said that the rating was sitting at 14, so I'm surprised it went up 4. Still very low, but surprised it actually went up a little. Fans blamed Leslie Headland and Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy for the show's supposed poor characterization and pacing. Well, yes, Kathleen Kennedy does suck. That is very well established. Even South Park is making fun of how terrible she is. Because ever since she's taken over as president of Lucasfilm, every single Lucasfilm associated project that she's on sucks. Marvel's going downhill. Obviously, Star Wars is largely trash now. The sequel trilogy, everybody hates. It's so bad that now the prequel trilogy looks good. People who weren't fans of prequel trilogy now are like, I guess I'll watch that. It's not so bad, actually. Oh, Kathleen Kennedy just needs to quit, be fired, step down, something. And Leslie, yes, she was very much all about her ideology and her political views and everything when she was making this show. I mean, it's very obvious. Just look at the most famous interview when she's there with Amalda, however you say her name, Amandla, and, they're just making all their stupid jokes about lesbianism, and R2-D2's a lesbian, and blah, blah, this DEI thing, and blah, blah, that woke thing. So, yeah. Anyways, and for certain fans pushing a woke agenda. Well, I did say that 5 million times, so no need to cover that anymore. Even small things like changing Ki-Adi-Mundi's questionably canon birthday became a part of contention. That's not a small thing. Are you serious? I know Ki-Adi-Mundi might be relatively a small-ish character in the grand scheme of Star Wars, but that's not a small thing. That is an established fact that plays a small but very critical role within episode 1. So by going and changing what his birthday would be, you're in effect, I don't know, nullifying episode 1, or you're making weird contradictions now that can't exist, but they do exist because you want to change the canon. That's not a small thing, and yeah, it should be a point of contention, because that was stupid. Like, something like that that's relatively well established, you can easily have looked up and made sure that you had your information right. Or, you just don't make it be Ki-Adi-Mundi. I mean, when I first saw the guy, I didn't even realize that was Ki-Adi-Mundi. I thought it was some other, what is he, Cerelian or whatever his race is. I thought it was a different one. It doesn't even look like Ki-Adi-Mundi. He's like fatter. This guy's head is fatter and shorter. Ki-Adi-Mundi has a thin, long head. This guy has a normal, fat head. So I thought, oh, that's funny. They're introducing another Ki-Adi-Mundi species. And then the credits roll and it says Ki-Adi-Mundi. And I'm like, oh, that was Ki-Adi-Mundi? Alright. But that's another thing they could have did to make it nice and easy and avoid all this. Don't make it be Ki-Adi-Mundi. Jeez, they could have even made it just be like his brother. It'd still be kind of weird and dumb, but, that's what they do, is weird, dumb stuff in this show. So at least that would have been a little better. Like, okay, Ki-Adi-Mundi has a brother now. What's his name? Adi Ki-Mundi? But anyways, despite the fan response, the Acolyte delivered a solid finale with a major tease of more to come. Sith Khmer and his Acolyte Osha, which is ridiculous. That's so stupid that she went to the dark side. Were primed for a new adventure. Sith Khmer and his Acolyte Osha were primed. Okay, some kind of typo there. For a new adventure, and even Darth Plagueis, the character the Acolyte's harshest critics kept hoping would appear. I don't think so. The harshest critics would have been like Star Wars Theory. I don't recall him looking forward to seeing Plagueis. I think we didn't want to see Plagueis because, again, it would almost semi-break canon. I mean, we have a whole entire book now that James Luceno wrote, and it gives the whole backstory of Plagueis. So, to kind of have him showing up in this show, hanging out, larking, like, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with the lesbian witches, is weird. But anyways, made a cameo lurking in the shadows, alongside a brief appearance from a younger Master Yoda. Yeah, that's another thing that wasn't really liked either. Why are you putting Yoda in here now? I mean, On one hand, at least they didn't like have Yoda do anything. He was just sitting there. But on the other hand, again, it kind of breaks canon because now Yoda should know about things that in episode 1 apparently he's just oblivious to. He's got no idea. Oh, I don't know about Khmer. I don't know about any of this stuff. But oh, they came and saw you 100 years prior. Okay. Right from episode 1. It's also worth noting that the Acolyte's cancellation is actually the first time Lucasfilm has actually canceled a live-action Disney Plus Star Wars show. The Mandalorian is still going on strong and getting a movie, although Mandalorian Season 3 sucked. 1 was really good, 2 was okay, it wasn't as good as 1, but it was alright. And then, I mean, in Season 2, I grew to hate Grogu because he's just a little dickhead who never listens. Mando would tell him something, and Grogu would go and do the opposite of what Mando told him to do anyways. But it's tolerable. But Season 3 just sucked. So we'll see how the movie is. Hopefully that's good. I don't know. I would imagine that it depends heavily on you, on the viewer have watched. I would imagine that it depends heavily on the viewer of the movie having had watched the TV series. So most of us probably are all caught up anyways, like I am and such. But if you're not, this movie's going to be garbage. You're going to have no idea what's going on. But anyways, with the possibility for another season after that. Oh, okay, so they're not doing another Mandalorian season now. They're doing the movie and then maybe a season. While Ahsoka Season 2 is currently in development, Andor Season 2 premieres next year, which will mark the planned resolution of its self-contained story. Meanwhile, both the Book of Boba and Obi-Wan remains in a sort of limbo. Neither is officially canceled, but they haven't been renewed for second seasons yet either. Though considering Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 1 is referred to as the complete series, it seems Lucasfilm may have quietly canceled that one without ever admitting to it. I'm going to call it canceled. Nothing's canceled. It's just finished. The plan was to do one season. They did one season. It's done. As for the Acolyte, unfortunately, it seems we'll never learn what happens next to Osho, Khmer, and the rest of the crew. Or if we do, it may be in a cheaper format like a comic book or novel. Which is fine. The show sucked. Nobody cares. Nobody misses it. Nobody's sad about this. This is good news. And yeah. So I just wanted to share that. That seems to be all that I have for this one. So yeah. Hopefully you're pumped about Acolyte not getting any more seasons like I am. Hopefully Disney takes this as a moment to learn and stop making crap that you want to produce and actually make stuff that your community wants. So that maybe the next project you take on actually fits your community's needs and not your needs. But anyways, yeah. Until then, until whatever comes next, from me, not from Disney. Thanks for checking this out, and I said see ya.